Our Three Different Worlds by Nicola Winters. Chapter 2. I sat there waiting for His Majesty and the doctor that he insisted for me to see. Honestly, my arm may be in serious pain, but that shouldn't matter to him when I'm a low-league poet that everyone hates. The pain has been normal for me since I was a little kid. I looked at the plate His Highness left for me and went over there and sipped on the water. If any of this is poisoned, it doesn't even matter. I don't even deserve this nice for death. After eating a bit of food and looking out the window, I heard the door squeak open. I was deep in thought, but jumped to the sound of the door as it opened behind me. My memory is foggy below the age of 10, but all I remember is a kid helping me back then. Could His Majesty be that kid? I turned around to see a tired doctor in the room. He had tired amber eyes, with his light brown hair barely at his shoulders. His hair could have been longer, but from what I saw, it's like hidden behind his shoulders, except for some bangs. He dressed so casually for someone that works for His Highness. Hey dear, I heard that your arm has been bothering you. Is that correct? Yes, sir, but how did you know? I asked, a bit shocked. His Majesty told me of your arm, he stated. May I ask for your name? My name is Virgil. My name is Virgil, I said awkwardly. What shall I refer to you as? He seemed shocked to hear the name, as if he recognized it. Oh, pardon my rudeness. You may call me Lucious, he said after a moment. That sounds kind of familiar. Let me see your arm that's bothering you, please. I let him see my arm, but I lacked the trust in him to not do something. My sleeve was rolled up and my arm was bruised up with a bit above my arm, being partially pierced. May I ask about this wound on your arm? I got caught on a sharp spike while walking, I said, seeing a reaction of concern over what he saw. I'll be back with some medical supplies so we can patch this wound correctly, Lucious said, before turning towards the door. He seemed to be trembling about something. He walked towards the door and left to conversate with His Majesty. I continued to sift through my memories, trying to figure out the memories that are hazy. The door squeaked again with His Majesty entering, with Lucious following close behind with a med kit. Lucious came over to me, taking out a medical supplies and cleaning my wound as he kneeled before me. His Majesty stood by the entryway, just watching. Virgil, may we ask some questions on what you remember from back then? His Majesty asked, looking at me as if he truly was intrigued in what I would have to say. Of course I can't share much but I can share some stuff and then hope he will release me from this place. Your Majesty, I'm just a low-league poet that works hard to just live, I said, quietly, hoping he may not ask too many questions. I know that, but what of your past? He asked, interested. Please drop the honorifics. I don't remember much because everything below 10 is super foggy, I said, a bit embarrassed. I remember being bullied for being in the lower class and someone saving me sometimes, and the name Lucious being common near me. That explains why you don't remember us, he said with a small smile. When we were younger, you, Lucious, and I were almost inseparable. Lucious and I waited for a while for your return because after we turned about 10, you disappeared. And we couldn't find you anywhere. Lucky for us, we had a feeling that you'd take almost any job that would pay you well, which is, I had to admit it, normally trying to break into the castle and steal stuff. You hid yourself pretty well for so long and so well. May we ask how? I could feel myself getting warmer in my face before I said, I was treated as a female and hidden in female's clothing with contacts. His Highness's name is Arcadius, right? He gave a small, sad smile before Critias said, Who treated you like a girl? That's not the reaction I expected from him. Well, Mother and Father requested that, and ordered that I stay away from the castle, telling me that if I got caught here, I was going to be killed on sight, and if someone saw me, I was, well, dead. You're staying in my chambers tonight, he said quietly in thought. I feel as though you are tired, so we can continue this talk tomorrow. I felt something tighten on my arm before Lucius stood up and joined His Highness by the door. I forgot he was working on my wound. Why don't we continue talking? After all, I'm not too tired, I suggested nervously. Are you sure? He asked as Lucius seemed tired, but to be more lively when I suggested the idea. Sure, if you don't mind. If you're tired, we can wait. I don't mind talking more, he chirped, coming over to take a seat across from me, with Lucius following behind him to take a seat next to me. Lucius, please drop the honorifics as well, which also means you can talk whenever. Oh, sorry, Arcadius, Lucius said, a bit worried. Looks as though I had his name right. So, Virgil, how have things been? Arcadius asked, leaning forward, leaning on his hands. It's been alright, I said, looking away. It's been busy and I haven't been writing as much poetry lately, but what can I say? Why not, Virgil? You're a poet, not being a poet, Lucius said curiously. My parents have found it a waste of time when I could be doing jobs like that one, I said quietly, like my parents could hear me. Why not come back to us? Arcadius said with a smile. My parents wouldn't be too fond of the idea, I said. I'm grateful for your offer, though, my lord. Virgil, where did you get that bruise? Those bruises on your arm? Lucius inquired, just staring at my arm that was left showing. I fell down the stairs, I lied, laughing it off. I really am a klutz. That would be more believable if I wasn't a doctor, and if they were located in possible places to hit when you fall down the stairs, Lucy said, knowing that I was lying. You can tell us the truth. I sat there silent for a while before hearing Arcadius say, You don't have to answer if you don't wish to. Would you like to be my personal poet? I know your poetry was so sweet and amazing back then. It must have only improved. My mind was filled with amazement at the possibility of being part of his royal teams and Before thinking, I said, I would love to. After a while of thought, I finished my response with, but I can't. Alright, but if you change your mind, you will have a slot. May I ask why you can't? Katie asked curiously. My parents need me, I said quietly. I wish I could take this opportunity, but my parents would kill me. That's alright. It's getting late, so why don't we head to bed? Lucious, if you would like to take extra time to get some extra sleep, he said, standing up with Lucious. We will see you tomorrow. Rest well. I'll see you tomorrow, I said, watching Lucious and Arcadius leave the room into a dark corridor. After a while, I left the room and found a way through the castle before I made my way out of town to my parents' place. Oh, there you are, Virgil. Where in the world have you been? My mother said, crumpling up the page she was reading. I was doing some work, I said timidly. I felt her slap me pretty hard, too, where I fell upon the ground. You were supposed to be here and nowhere else. Hey, don't cry, or else I'll give you a reason to cry. It will be worse later when your dad finds out you're back, she said loudly. I heard loud thumps going down the stairs towards this room. My father looked at me and I saw the flames in his eyes before he flashed across the room, grabbing me and throwing me against the brick wall. You stupid mutt. Why can't you just obey us? If we say stay in the house, what do you do? Father asked menacingly. I say, yes, sir, whimpered, feeling him grab me. Good, little embarrassment. If we tell you to jump, what do you do? He continued with a scowl. I ask how high, cried, feeling his grip tighten. Very good, said, picking me off the ground. There was a shattered glass all over the hardwood floor that he was staring at. He threw me at the floor, and I felt a few shards of glass digging into my skin, making some new wounds. After a moment, I felt a solid kick go right into my ribs, making them seem to break and making me cough up some blood. Go clean yourself up, you dirty mutt. Yes, sir, he said, stuttered quietly. I went up the stairs to the bathroom and cleaned myself in the sink. Some of the glass would not leave when I tried to remove it, but I will remove it eventually. By the time I finished my wounds, the sun had risen, and it was nearly 0700. I changed into a dress and put my hair up. My chores waited for me, so I went to the front and started to clean up the mess.